As you can tell, I'm getting up out of my chair. I'm getting a little passionate about some of these this subject, but it's really so critical and so key to get some of these concepts and realize some of these principles. So we're talking about the CSP process. C stands for what? Clarity. Then S stands for what? Structure. And then P stands for what? Planning. Okay, there's so much more I could actually say about some of this dynamics of making sure you have the right structure. I know I talk strongly about the whole dynamic of churches, but one of the key things when you talk about structure for businesses, most guys don't have just the three-circle concept. You help a business guy with the three-circle concept and you have really changed that leader's life, because most of them don't get it. So that alone can really, really help a lot of businesses. Some of the functional structure of this doesn't really apply to businesses, but remember, we're sharpening our edge because you never know what kind of client may come. You may think, well, I'm going to be coaching businesses. Well, yeah, but you never know. God could connect you with a pastor. And what are you going to say? No, I don't know how to. I only coach business people. No, you're going to take opportunities that come your way. And once you're trained, what's amazing is opportunities will come. And you got to be ready when the opportunity taps you on the shoulder, whatever that opportunity may look like. So we talked about the whole dynamic of clarity. We talked about structure. And now I want to encourage you to look over really close the 20 signs of what I call a growing contemporary church. And the points are there. They're really quick. They're really candid. But in my mind, as I travel around the world and I see churches that are growing and thriving and exploding, these are just kind of 20 key things that I've noticed. Number one, they focused on giving a life-giving weekend service. It's all about Sunday morning. There's one guy that wrote a book said it's all about Sunday morning, stupid. I thought that was a great title, right? And what he was meaning by that is sometimes churches, they have this going on. They have Sunday morning service. They have Tuesday night service. They have Wednesday youth. They have Thursday Bible training. They have Friday this and Saturday this. And all week long they got all these different things going on all week. And then Sunday's mediocre. Because you're focused on so many things. You're trying to have so many services. The concept is, why don't you focus on having one great service? Why don't we get Sunday morning down to where it's off the charts, where it presents the wow factor on Sunday morning? You got it? So the churches that are really growing, they really focus on a Sunday morning that just rocks. It's incredible. And by the way, that's the day that most people are showing up. So that's the Super Bowl. That's a Super Bowl Sunday. We got to be on our game. Because every Sunday, visitors are coming. And our key to our growth is getting them to come back. Then number two, they focus on soul winning. Number three, there's nothing funny or flaky going on the Sunday morning service. That's the key. Nothing funny, nothing flaky. And the reason why that's important is because of this. Even Spirit-filled people may want all the Spirit-filled stuff going on. They may like that, but here's the problem. Spirit-filled people who want all that won't invite their boss to church. As a matter of fact, the surveys are saying that 92% won't even invite their friends and they won't bite their boss to church. Now, how can you grow if the people who are coming to your church won't even invite anybody? So, this is a really key component to making sure it's not that you're scheduling out the Holy Spirit or anything like that, but you're just protecting. You're being that shepherd, and you're protecting that congregation from anything flaky going on in that service. Okay? Number 4, they're high energy services that last 1 hour and 15 minutes. Okay? Number 6, they have a 5-star assimilation and hospitality team. What did I do? 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. 5, they have powerful, high-energy worship. Meaning, I love seeker-sensitive. I think that we ought to start off seeker-sensitive until the music starts. You got it? We do everything seeker-sensitive. Music starts. Bam! It's high energy. It's exciting. It's uplifting. It's wow! High beat. And remember, you got worship and you got praise. Worship doesn't necessarily have to be hallelujah. Just because you go slow doesn't mean it's worship. Okay? You can worship God fast. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I mean, but it needs to be high energy. It needs to be high beat. Okay? Worship. They have a 5-star assimilation hospitality team. When you come in, I mean, it's incredible. You're not greeted by some old guy that looks like the Ancient of Days in a polyester plaid suit with a tie, right? He says, "Welcome to First Assembly of God. Praise God. Come on in." No, it's 5-star. Everybody say 5-star. It's a 5-star assimilation process. Number 7, they have children's church provided that offers protection for their children, a check-in process. The children's church, when they bring their children and the children look inside of the room that they're going to be in, it wows the children. It's like, wow. And the children want to come back. They're like, Mommy, I don't want to go back to that. I want to go to that church. The children's church is incredible. 8, they have a passion for quality that attracts quantity. Number 9, they're more casual dressed. Please remember that 70% of men in the world don't own a tie. So when men are coming into church, just like anybody, all of us are looking. Is there anybody here that's just like me? 10. When people come to church, they are subconsciously thinking, is anybody like me? 11. They have fill-in-the-blank sheets and commitment action cards. So when you come, everybody gets a commitment card. Everybody gets a decision card. Hey, did you make a decision? If you made a decision for Jesus Christ, we have these cards right here. We want you to fill it out because we want to get some information to you. We want to know you and blah, blah, blah. So that they can keep track of the people who say yes to Christ. And the assimilation team can then take those, and then what do we want to do? We want to get them plugged into the what? Journey. So they can get invitations by letter, they can get phone calls, and we start paying more attention to that kind of, they pay more attention to those kind of things. Number 12, they focus on relationship building through the pulpit. They focus on relationship building through what? Small groups, exactly. Number 13, they have an atmosphere of acceptance. They're not judging everybody, criticizing everybody. They have an atmosphere that says, you are welcome here. We are glad that you are here. 14, they have special encounter services for people looking for a deeper experience with God. So they intentionally, once a quarter, once a month, they set up these services where they say, hey, come on, we're going to have a special service. Just come on out. We're just going to worship God. If you need prayer, we're going to pray for you. They'll even say, we're going to prophesy over you. They'll use all the words we use and say, come on out for this amazing service. It's amazing. So they offer that opportunity for people. 15, they are wise financial stewards. They're very careful what they say from the pulpit about money. They never make outrageous promises. Give your $1,000 and this is going to be the year where everything turns around. Well, what happens if it doesn't turn around that year? What happens is you whittle away at your own respect and you don't even know it. Because you can say cliche things that sound good, but people still remember that, and it didn't turn out. And who do they think? Hey, pastor said, so-and-so said, it never came to pass. And now you're whittling away the own trust factor between you and your congregation. So you've got to be careful on those things. 16, authenticity. The churches that are growing have a leader that's authentic. What does that mean? It simply means they're not afraid to share their pain. They're not afraid to share their hurts. They're not afraid to share their own struggles. They're not being one person on stage and then you got another person in the back room. Dictatorship ruled in the 80s and 90s. Being authentic rules in the 21st century. That's why a lot of times I go places, I say, hey, I got issues. Trust me, I got a lot of issues. Ask my wife. She'll say amen. Every time, I got issues. That's good. If I tell you I have issues and you say I see that I have issues, then you say, hey, Dr. Key says he's got issues. And then you don't get hurt. But if you try to be like God's man and God's power and all that for the hour, if they see you treat somebody bad, you're ugly, you don't have a good attitude, they say, wow, that guy's not really authentic. He's something different than what he really claims to be. Number 17, they provide an island of confidence. They provide an island of confidence. I explain it like this. Everybody in life is on the sea of life. And the sea, there's a lot of insecurities. Most people are insecure. And while they're out there in their boat and all these storms are going on, they're trying to find somebody that has an island of confidence that they can come and park their boat on. Now, what creates an island of confidence? A structured ministry. The more structured you become, the more safe people feel about being at your church. The less structure, the more insecurity. It's a subconscious thing. And some of the Spirit-filled guys, they don't want any structure. They think any structure is like a sin. And scheduling the Holy Spirit out. So that we don't want any structure. And not realizing what you're doing is you're not creating that island of confidence where people feel safe. People want a place they go to feel safe. And to me, the new growing contemporary churches provide that feeling. 18, they have relevant messages about what? The faith, family, finances, fitness, and fun. Oh yeah, we could talk. I think Christians should have fun, don't you? I think we should be happy. So So they speak to those things that are really concerning people, things that people are going through, areas of their life that matter to them. They're not getting up there talking about the third toe of the beast of Daniel's vision and the tabernacle and the holies of holies and what's the color purple mean and what's the color green mean and people, because people in the pew said, I don't care. My kid just had sex and she's only 12 years old. My son's 14, he's on drugs. Help! My wife's getting ready to leave me. Or, I love my wife, but we haven't had sex in 10 years. I don't care about the third toe of the third beast. I just want to figure out how to reconnect with my wife again. That's all I want. And the guys that are making it happen, I'm telling you, they're coming down where people are, and they're connecting with messages that are relevant, that are what people need, and that really help people come to a place of wholeness in all areas of their life. Number 19, they have teaching and preaching in series. They usually preach one subject that lasts 4 to 6 weeks, and they stay on the subject. Repetition is the mother of change. They understand you don't have to come up with a new message every single Sunday. People need to hear things repetitively to really get it inside. If you want to change lives, you know that what I say on Sunday, they've already forgot it by Monday. And then here you go preaching another sermon on another subject, and they didn't even get the first subject that you taught. So a smart pastor, a smart leader stays on one subject and plows for about 4 to 6 weeks. And finally, most of these guys are community focused. They've changed their lingo. The Spirit-filled community says, we're taking our city for God. The contemporary says, we are serving our community. We are going to serve and love the hell right out of them. That's the goal. Through serving, through loving their community, they begin to change it. So those are just now, because people ask me all the time, they say, Dr. Keith, you travel all over the world. I do. I can't remember. I'm 237 days out of the year I'm traveling somewhere. So I don't know exactly how many different churches I am in a year, but I'm in a lot. And if you ask me that question, from my observation, this is the 20 things that I've took note of, that I've noticed that people are doing. Now remember, success leaves clues. You know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Study things that are successful. It's kind of like for me, when that's the way I've always operated. Since I was a little boy, I love to fish. Anybody love to fish? Where's my fish? Oh, wow, all right. Yeah, I got some people who love to fish. I love to fish, and from a little boy, I always learned. My grandpa was always be amazed at me. He thought I was a master fisherman. And because what would happen was we would go out and fish with Grandpa. Grandpa would throw the boat in, and then we would go and, we'd go along the shore and throw our bait in the water and wouldn't catch it. Nothing frustrates me more. Let me tell you, I only like fishing when I'm catching fish. I mean, the last thing I want to do is stand and look at a bobber going, no, I hate that kind of fishing. How many of you want to catch fish? You want to catch fish? Yeah. And so I'd go out with Grandpa. Grandpa would do the same old thing, put the boat in the water and go. He'd just start throwing the thing in anywhere. We'd never catch nothing. Well, eventually we would give up, come back in. Grandpa would go back up to the cabin, and I'd say, go ahead, Grandpa, you go back up to the cabin. And then while Grandpa's back up the cabin, I'd jump back in the boat, and I'd go all over the lake, and I would look for poles that were bending. Meaning I'd go find people who are catching fish. And then I'd pull up to the person catching fish, say, hey, buddy, how you doing? How you doing? Great. Yeah, I noticed you're catching some. Oh, yeah, we're catching some fish. Hey, what kind of lures are you using? Oh, well, we're using these little jig bugs. They're purple and blue. Oh, really? Yeah, okay. What kind of test line are you using? Well, we're using 20-pound test line. We found that the 15 doesn't work very well. Oh, really? And what kind of pole are you using? Well, we're using cane poles. Cane poles is the best way for this kind of fishing. Oh, cane poles. Oh, okay. And I'd get information. Guess what I'd do? I'd go back, and what kind of bait would I buy? I'd buy me one of them purple baits. I'd get me some fishing line that's just like them, and I wouldn't get a caster. I'd get a cane pole. And guess what I'd do? I'd go back. I'd say, hey, Grandpa, let's go fishing. Where are we going? I got a great spot. And I'd take Grandpa out to the same spot the guys were in before and start fishing. And guess what I'd do? I'd start catching fish. And Grandpa would say, man, you are amazing fishermen. You are the master, man. I'd say, no, I'm just the master of go finding people who's doing something successful. Success leaves clues and repeating it. So that's my gig. I'm sticking to it. So there's just 20 signs. Now let's look at planning, okay? We need to look at planning for the last hour. So almost everything I shared with you today, I share in that third session. Because in your assignment last night, you read through, or you should have read through, the 6 phases that I walked through, every single phase. So phase 1 is getting the leader clear. Phase 2 that I work with is now that you understand the structure, Pastor, now I need to teach the structure to your team. And then I bring the team together and I teach them the structure. Now, the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to say, now, what we have to do with your team is we got to prepare them for a group strategic planning meeting. And so now what we need to do, and I give all of them this form right here. So if you have your form, you should have it there. And if you don't have it, you can draw it, and then it'll solidify it in your mind, okay? So this is what I call the department focus tool. All right? Everybody was given one when they first came. The department focus tool. Now, this follows right along with the Leaders of Destiny coaching process, because right now, the next step in going through this book, the very next thing we do is we begin to follow the 12 steps. The very next thing we do is we do number 5, which is focusing on successes. And then the next step after focusing on successes is number 6 is resources. So while I have those key leaders together, most of the time our minds can tend to focus on the negative. Our minds go easy towards negativity than goes towards positive, right? And a lot of times what happens is people lose their confidence. And it's because they always focus on the failures or what they don't have. Now, what I want to do before I go in the planning process, I want to get their psychology straight. So what I do is I come in and I say, hey, I said, let's focus, which is step 5, let's focus on every department that we have. Let's focus on our successes. Let's go back in our minds. This church has come a long way. This business has come a long way. And it can be easy to forget about our successes. Now let's just go back and let's point out some successes. I even do that when I coach people sometimes. I say, hey, let's go back in your life. You're feeling down. I know you're feeling a little depressed and You're going through some things right now. But let's just take a moment. Come on, let's just do it. Take a pen. Take a pen out. And let's go back in your past. I want you just to list me. Let's just list 10 things, 10 successes that you've had in your past. And some people, some people can't. I don't even remember one. It's like, and so sometimes I have to go back and say, okay, all right, were you born? Yes, I was born. Hey, that's a great place to start, right? Oh, great. Hey, did you learn to read? Yeah, I learned to read. Hey, okay, put that down. I learned to read. That's an achievement, right? Did you pass kindergarten? Yeah, I passed kindergarten. Hey, you're better than me. I flunked it. That's a success. Did you graduate high school? Yeah, okay, I graduated high school. Did you go to college? Yeah, I graduated. What year did you? I completed one. I completed two. Hey, good job, great job. Hey, do you have kids? Yeah, I had kids. Well, hey, there's a whole lot of people out there that's never had kids. That's an achievement. Come on, let's write that down. And then I get them to focus on their successes, and what happens? All of a sudden their confidence they start saying, wow, yeah, I did have some successes. Then I said, okay, good job. I'll say, okay, now. Then I take them over to step 6. Let's go. Let's turn over let's go over to step 6. Now this is just talking about resources. Now let's just look at the resources that you have. And I said, what are some of the resources that you do have? And they'll look at me. Oh, Dr. Johnson, it's been terrible economy. It's been horrible. Oh my, our finances are in horrible shape. And they start complaining. I said, well, now, okay. All right, I'll give you, okay, so it's been tough on you. All right. But what resources do you have? Well, I can't, I said, wait a minute. Look at this building. I mean, wow, look at this building God blessed you with. You know there's probably 50 churches in this region that have to meet in schools that would love this building? You know how many pastors would just do anything to be able to have the facility like you did? You got a major resource here, and you don't even see it as a positive. So wow, let's write that down. We got this building. Hey, we got this space. And then I start getting them to kind of see what did they do have. Hey, we may have a double-decker bus, but we got the van. We got a nice van. We got a piece of property. We've got a children's playground back there. Hey, we do have a foyer. Hey, that's nice. And we do have a coffee maker. And we got this, and we got this resource. And hey, number one, hey, don't forget your greatest resource is people. Hey, there's some guys that don't have any people. And you got people. And what am I doing? I'm trying to get them to see, Moses, what do you have in your hand? Stop complaining about what you don't have, and then take what you do have. Say, hey, I do have some resources. Maybe I don't have a huge children's church building, but hey, I do have this. Thank God I have this. And watch, how can we maximize what we do have? So I get people to think that. Now, that's the beginning part to going into the next step, which is step number 7. Step number 7 is ideas. Let's all say that word, idea. Are ideas real or are they fake? It's a good question, huh? Ideas can be made real, right? One idea. Think about this. Everything that was created, it came as somebody had an idea for it, right? So those ideas can be made real. And when we start setting down these 8 key people, what we want them to do is we want to tap into some of their ideas. Because a lot of times, because we never take time to just sit down with people, some people, because that area is their niche, it's their passion, it's what they love, it's what they're juiced about. Guess what? They've read more books about that subject than you. They've studied it. They've been to other churches that have been successful. And when they go, they've seen different things. They've noticed the things that you're looking at, how great the preacher is because you're the pastor. But they're looking at, how did they do that? How did they do this? And so a lot of them, they got all these ideas, but they feel like they're what? They're trapped. That nobody listens to my ideas. We can't even get my ideas out. And so what we want to do is we want to tap into our assets. There's assets, and there's tremendous amount of ideas that we could use for the future setting right in our midst. Now, I don't know about some of you guys, but I come up with a lot of ideas. How many of you come up with a lot of ideas, man? I mean, it's like idea overload, creativity overload. And so the first thing I do is I tell them, let's pull out this chart, okay? And what we want to do is, what are your top 10 ideas that you have? So, meaning, I want the top tier team. I want the top tier team. Business or church, I don't care what it is. I want the top tier team. Your responsibility is to use your imagination to say, how can I take this organization times 10? I want the CFO to be saying, how can I take the, where? One more time. How can I take the times what? I want the COO to be thinking what? How can I develop people what? How can I make this times what? Times 10. Then I want the assimilation person to be thinking, how can I take the assimilation team what? Times 10. Not just in quantity, but also in what, everybody? Quality. Because remember, if we can raise our quality, our quantity will what? Will be the byproduct of it. So that's the first thing I say. I'll say, okay, now, for you, I want you to take a moment right now. I want you to write down, what are your top 10 ideas for your department, for your area? Go ahead. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. And then ding, 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 ding. And I let them write, and they start writing. And at the end of 10 minutes, because this is a great tool, it takes this tool, 7, 8, 9, 10. This tool takes a whole team in a short amount of time through the 7, 8, 9, 10 steps. Okay, what's your top 10? Okay, you're done. That's it. Time's up. Hey, stretch your hand out like this. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Stretch your hand out like this. Come on. Now give yourself a pat on the back. Say, good job. Yeah, good job. Those are some great ideas. We celebrate your ideas. Hey, now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to look at those 10 ideas, right? Now we want to set up a plan. And a lot of these ideas are great. A lot of these ideas are huge. I said, but what we want to do is we want to look at these top 10. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to put a star by the top 3. Because obviously in 1 year you can't do all 10 of these. So I want you just to put a star by the top what? 3. And you say, all right, you've got 2 minutes. Why do I put a time limit on it? You place a demand on the mind, and the mind will make a decision. Always remember that. Place a demand on the mind as a coach. Star the top 3. All right, you got 2 minutes. Here you go, here you go. 15 seconds, 10 seconds, time. All right, take your hand out like this. Come on, everybody, come on, everybody, come on, everybody. Oh, don't do it half-heartedly. Come on, take your hand out here. Now give yourself a pat on the back. Say, good job. Now, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do. What we want to shoot for is one big win. Everybody say big win. Everybody wants to win, don't we? We all want to win. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to set a target of what is the one big win. When you look at this, that you starred 3, out of the 3, what would you say is your number one? That you say, man, if we accomplish this in 1 year, that is a big win for my assimilation team. Now I'm going to give you 1 minute. Decide. Ding, 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 ding. Time. Okay. Now I want you to move your big win over into the circle. Now we know what we're aiming for this year. This is our 1 year big win. Okay? So now we've set, and when you read this in step number 8, we've set a priority. We've set a focus. That, yeah, we want to do a lot of these other things, but we've been razor sharp now, and we've zoomed in on it, and now we're going to move towards this. But that's not enough just to set a big win, right? Now, if you look on it, we've got the arrow. The top of the arrow says the power of what? Positive thinking. How many of you believe in positive thinking? Oh yeah, man. I am an optimist. Are you an optimist? Oh yeah. But I've been such an optimist in my past that it's hurt me. Because really, we need to be 2 things. We need to be like Norman Vincent Peale said. We need to use the power of positive thinking, but then we also have to use I come from Fort Wayne, Indiana, so I'm a Hoosier, and we love Bobby Knight. I mean, something about me, I still love Bobby Knight. I still love a man's man. I love a guy that'll throw a chair out on the court, don't you? I like a man with a little... if you don't have a little hair on your chest, I wonder about you, right? But Bobby Knight wrote a book. His first book ever. Guess what the title was? It was The Power of Negative Thinking. I thought, wow. Because it was a principle that I learned over the years of my leadership, is that so many times in my life, I'm such an optimist, I never think negative. But here's what I know. Positively negative things are going to happen. Did you get that? I am positive that negative things are going to happen. Things are not going to turn out as they are. And guess what? My optimism many times will get me in trouble. Why? Because I think so positive I'd never have a plan B. And then I would get caught with my pants down going, oh, and never have any other option to choose. And that's what Bobby Knight says. Bobby Knight says, the reason why I'm such a successful basketball coach, which he's like the top 5 in the Hall of Fame for the amount of wins over his career, he said, because every game I went to, even though we were rated number 1, and we would be playing somebody rated number 30, we over-prepared like they were still better than us. We use the power of negative thinking to really prepare more than the next guy. Only because I thought negative. If I thought positive, we'd say, hey, no problem. Hey, let's just have a quick 45-minute practice and let's go back in. This is just some little chump school. And guess what happens to the guys who don't think negative? They get upset and they lose. So you got to think positive, you got to also think negative. On the top of the chart, we're going to think positive, all right? And so what are we going to do? We got our big win. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to decide right now what are the 3 things, I call it the 3-90-50. What are the 3 things you're going to do in the next 90 days to bring 50% of this 1 year big win to pass? Okay? 3 things immediately that you're going to move on. You got the big win. You know what you want to do for the year. Now 3 things you want to do immediately. You understand where Pastor's trying to go. We told you about the destiny statement, about the target, what we want to hit. So your mind is in line with your leader's mind. Now out of that, you set a big win. Now what are the 3 immediate action steps that you need to take next 90 days to make 50% of this 1-year goal come to pass? Now think about that. If this person acts on those 3 things and gets it to 50% in 90 days, what's the chances of this being done in the year? And if the whole team hits it, what's that going to create amongst the whole team? Confidence, momentum, excitement, and most of all, productivity is going to increase. And then what? Your team's going to see how important this is to every year plan, to strategize, to everybody coming together and working together. And they're going to see how the strategy of this, and then they themselves are going to grow as a leader. And what are they going to do with the team that's below them? They're going to start doing the same thing. They're going to say, hey, we need a plan, we need a strategy. And then you begin to experience multiplication by duplicating yourself. So you do that. That's the power of positive thinking. These are the 3 things we're going to do. Now look at the bottom. The bottom of the arrow is the positive and negative thinking. On the other side, you got to say, well, wait a minute. We're thinking really positive about this big win, but what are some roadblocks? Because how many of you know you can say I'm going to do this, but there are still some real, authentic roadblocks to seeing that big win come to pass. And you know what most of them are? You can just write it in. The number 1 roadblock that's most common is always money. People have this big dream, and then they say, oh, we don't have the money. I said, really? I said, if you don't believe you can get the money, then I guess you're right. That is a roadblock. But you can get the money. You can do some things. Well, we don't have the money to fix up the youth room. Well, maybe if you just believed you can, maybe you can make it happen. What if you did a car wash? What if you blah, 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 blah? What if you blah, blah? What if you... There's all kinds of different things if you really start thinking outside the box that you could do as a leader to begin to get the money that you need. So you got to write the roadblocks, but then the other side is solutions. There's 3 roadblocks. What are the 3 roadblocks that you see that could stop you? But the one thing I always say is, don't bring me a roadblock without bringing me a solution. What's the solution to removing this roadblock? And then once we got our 3 things, we thought positive. Then we came over here and we checked out, okay, what are some roadblocks that's standing in our way on this thing? Then I come back up to the arrow. And inside the arrow you see the block, and it says what on the top? Who? So 3 things you're going to do in the next 90 days. Now, as the team leader of your department, what you need to be asking on these 3 things is, who can I assign to that task? Why? Because of the 60% factor. Remember I told you that? You want to take one person and get them to focus over 60% of their energies on accomplishing that one task. Remember, if it's under 60%, it guarantees what they do will be what? Focus more than 60% on something, and listen, it doesn't guarantee excellence, but it puts you on the road there. You got it? So the goal then is to get your team department leader to say, okay, this is our big win. these are our 3 things we're going to do, and then say, okay, I'm going to assign this person, and this person. Now, many times, one of the persons on those tasks may be the department head leader, and that's okay. As long as we get them to see that real leaders reproduce themselves. Real leaders delegate. And what we need to get you to do is we need to get you to identify on your team. We've got the big win. We know what it is. Now, who's the 3 people that I already have on my team that I can get them to start focusing on these tasks? Somebody that's proven, so that we can make this big win come to pass. And once you get that done with this team, then the team, you say, now, the last thing I want you to do, okay, this is, now that we've worked through this, now you need to meet with the CEO. And what we want you to do is we want you to make sure that you and the CEO are on the same journey, are thinking the same. And usually, almost all the time, may needs to be tweaked a little bit here and there or whatever, but generally, it all works out really well. So now, we have a really clear plan. And once they start working this, here's what I found. Most of the time, the 1-year big win, we're coaching them for 6 months, right? What happens is once we implement it, we're hoping for a 1-year big win. We usually get the big win in about 6 months. So about half the time. Why? It's amazing, the power of focus. And how that happens, and everything starts increasing. So if someone could bring my chart back over, and somebody assist us just a little bit, please. I'm bringing the destiny arrow over. Thank you so much. Let's give our great coach a hand clap. Didn't he do a great job? Okay, now, let's go back. Now, what have we done? We got the leader clear on destiny. What's the target, Pastor? What's the problem? What's the purpose? He communicates that to all of those department heads. Here's where we're going in the future. Sometimes, let's say, I'll just throw one out. I get with the pastor, he's running 600. He says, I see a day when thousands, that's painting a picture, isn't it? Where thousands of people will gather together to blah, 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 blah. And we will blah, 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 blah. And I see us building a cutting edge 3,000 seat blah, 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 blah with lights and laser shows and semis going through the front and whatever he has, right? All those things, right? And that's what he sees. He communicates it to the departments. And then the departments, when they hear that, they say, okay, off of that, all right, what are some of the ideas you have to help kick this ball, help get this thing going forward to the vision that the pastor has in his heart? What are some of your ideas? Okay, out of those ideas, how can we turn them into a big win? Because during the session, we'll have them stand up. Hey, share your big win for the year. And we're sitting there, and we may dialogue. We may talk about it. We share that big win. So we got that. We got the department set. Then we just went over the successes of each department, the resources of each department. Number 7, we went over the ideas of the department on our thing. What are our ideas? We just established the big win. Number 9, we went over the tasks, the 3 things they're going to do in the next 90 days. We covered the roadblocks, and now all we got left to do, because we covered everything, all we got left to do is set the goals and the dreams. So now we've just completed this whole destiny arrow. We fill in all the blanks going all the way across. And now we just completed this whole arrow except for, number 1, the goals, and then the final thing is the big dreams. Okay? Now this may seem a little bit confusing, but one of the things about destiny in your studies, destiny, like for instance, the destiny statement isn't, in the future we will have 2,757 people come to our church. That's not destiny. Why? Because it's measurable. Destiny is, I see millions. Well, if you say million, what happens when you hit 1,000,000? Now you've arrived at destiny. Okay? When you quantify things, that's more of a what? I taught you, it's more of a dream. By the time I'm 30, I want to have $1 million. You set a time frame and you quantified it as an exact number. That's a dream. So when you hit that, you can hit dreams, but destiny, we're always moving towards destiny. So it's the broad thing. Because always remember, God wants to do exceedingly, abundantly. That's destiny. If you can imagine it, God can better it. Woo! Let's all say that. Say, if I can imagine it, God can better it. Touch a neighbor, say, get ready, get ready, get ready. So now, just for business purposes, we talked a lot about church. I understand that. But listen, the things, it doesn't matter whether you're church or business. Don't get caught up that it's church. The only dynamics I talked about today, when I start talking about church growth and how long the service is, that's the only thing that pertains to church. All the other stuff, a business leader still needs to set his target. He still needs to pull his team together. He still needs to get each team to dream and to plan and to strategize. They still need to set personal goals for each department and each team leader. They still need to come up with these are roadblocks. These are things that may stop us from growing in this department with our sales force, right? These are some of the real issues that we may face, but these are the steps. These are the action steps that we're going to start taking. We're going to start moving forward. Doesn't matter whether it's a church, business, television station, all across the board. Everybody wants to increase productivity, and there's no other way to do that but to get clear, know the structure you need, and create a strategic action plan to make it come to pass. And that's my story. I'm sticking with it.